When it comes to total drama, there have been a lot of missed opportunities. There have been a lot of screw-ups and the fans have always been very critical about those things. With that being said, I titled this video after the first season because this is pretty exclusive to the first season. There's one missed opportunity in particular that I think could have been huge and beneficial for the series, and as you can tell from the thumbnail, it's Gwen and Jeff. Now what do I mean by Gwen and Jeff being a missed opportunity? That could mean a lot of things, whether it's just their friendship being expanded on or them being a romantic relationship. I think the opportunity for both were actually missed out on. But when I think of Gwen and Jeff, I do think of the massive potential there was for them to be a couple instead of the couples we got in the actual series. Now, before you start going crazy at me, these are my personal opinions, but I think Gwen and Jeff should have ended up together instead of, who they actually ended up with. Jeff and Bridget make a great couple, and I mean, there's not too much to complain about when it comes to them. I mean, they have good chemistry, they look good together, and their interactions throughout the series are all pretty fun. But with Gwen, yeah. If you've watched some of my videos, you would know that I've never been a fan of Duncan and Gwen being a couple. I also am not a huge fan of Gwen and Trent being a couple, and a lot of that has to do with the kind of like bad and inconsistent writing for them. But I even think when there's like good stuff between them, I'm not really that into it. I just feel like there's such a lack of chemistry between Gwen and those two, and honestly, I would even say that Gwen has more chemistry with Cameron than either Duncan or Trent. But there's no way that I actually support that ship like some sickos. I just think they're a cool friendship, Now, everyone points to the episode Trial by Tri-Arm Triathlon. It's a tongue twister. But let's just rewind a bit. There's quite a few times throughout Total Drama Island where Gwen finds Jeff pretty annoying. Take this example from the very first episode of the series.
Top man, it's an honor to meet you, man.
The Jeffster! Welcome to the island, man.
Thanks, man.
They say man one more time, I'm gonna puke.
Now, let's skip ahead to extreme torture. The big mystery of this episode was who wrote the love haiku that Bridget and Gwen found. Gwen knows that Jeff is into Bridget, but then she also roasts his intelligence by joking about how he probably couldn't even pronounce haiku, which I'm not gonna lie, is kinda crazy, and I wouldn't take that disrespect. But anyways, just from these examples alone, it was kinda clear that Gwen thought of Jeff as just a dumb nuisance. But this goes from kinda clear to extremely clear in Trial by Tri-Arm Triathlon, when Gwen is just a full-on Jeff hater. Like, not joking, the hate this episode is crazy. She even said she finds Jeff the most annoying on the island at that time, and Heather was still there. That's how crazy she was hating on Jeff.
The person who's creasing me the most? Jeff. The guy is in a permanently good mood. No one is always in a good mood. And if he says dude or cool or eats with his mouth open one more time, I think I'm gonna seriously damage him.
Throughout the episode, she is just hating on him even more because of how cool and laid back he is or whatever. Like, he was too happy, which made him annoying. And you know what? Gwen actually has a pretty solid point about these kind of people, but she was also just being super extra about it. Anyways, after they kind of talk things out and get everything off their chest, it becomes clear that they just needed to air those things out to ease the tension between them. Jeff said he really liked Gwen and would invite her to his parties, while Gwen basically admitted to being a loser who had never been to a party. Totally not like me. Gwen then really warms up to Jeff after this conversation, and she even lets out a woohoo a couple of times. I can't do it as good as her, but she pretty much managed to let the party animal out of her pretty quickly because of Jeff.
Woohoo!
Now that's what I call a woohoo!
And then at the end of the episode, when Jeff is voted out, Gwen is genuinely upset and flabbergasted by this. But at least they end on a very sweet note when Jeff takes a picture of them together. And I love that little ending to that episode a lot. And I'm sorry, but the chemistry here was off the charts and far more natural than any interaction with a dude that Gwen ever had in this season or any other season. And Jeff also felt, I don't know the right word for it. Whenever he's interacting with Bridget, he was just constantly awkward and saying some really weird and dumb stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, that stuff was hilarious, and he had some hilarious lines throughout the season. And yeah, you could probably chalk that up to him just being awkward around his crush. But he also just felt so much more comfortable around Gwen. It was just very sweet and heartwarming. Even when he was doubtful of her because of how much of a downer she can be, he still wanted her to feel good. Jeff didn't even hesitate on the idea of partying with Gwen and making sure that they'd party after the show. And just look at what Gwen does right here. She was super into the idea of partying and it really rubbed off on her. I don't know, man, the way I saw it, there was definitely potential for more of a friendship or more than a friendship for them because their partnership this episode was so good, and Trent and Duncan could never. But then of course, none of this actually mattered in the finale for some reason. Gwen lists off a ton of people she found annoying, including calling Jeff a party-obsessed jerk.
The people here stank. They were nothing but a bunch of backstabbing, manipulative, two-timing, fame-hungry, dim-witted, certifiably insane, really weird, psychotic, redneck, overbearing, goody-goody, know-it-all, party-obsessed jerks.
And then she said there were 5 sane people she was lucky to meet. And Cody was in this 5. Cody over Jeff. What the... Now, to be fair, Trent wasn't in that 5 either, but honestly, who cares about Trent? Like, she didn't even really want to be with him until he persisted enough. She just dissed Jeff for no reason and forgot about how nice she thought he was, and on the flip side, Jeff was rooting for Owen in the finale pretty hard.
Go, Owen! We want a party!
You're gonna get one! Woohoo!
Now granted, only like 4 or 5 people actually rooted for Gwen, and Jeff was clearly rooting for Owen just because he would throw a party, but this kind of stuff just made Jeff and Gwen's new friendship several episodes prior mean nothing, when it shouldn't have. They had serious potential to run with that, and they squandered it for seemingly no reason. And when it comes to their friendship, that is pretty much it. Like, the only other time that they ever really interact again is the aftermath and Total Drama action, but that's when Jeff is going through his whole Hollywood phase, so it's not like it mattered anyways. So it's not like their friendship really mattered at that point. But of course, when talking about Gwen and Jeff, we can't forget about this little thing called Camp TV, the prototype for Total Drama Island. In the trailer for this, there's a small clip of Gwen and Jeff snuggled up together next to the lake. There's also another promotional picture with Jeff having his arm around Gwen. Now he does have an arm around Trent, but to be honest, that's just him asserting his dominance, that's all. Especially since judging by the trailer, they seem to hate each other for whatever reason. But anyways, literally, Gwen and Jeff were originally going to be a couple in the original Total Drama, so it's not like I'm going completely crazy and thinking that they should have pulled the trigger on having them date in the actual show. And listen, if you want to keep them as good platonic friends, I think that's perfectly fine too. There's a lot of really good friendships in Total Drama, and I feel like a really great friendship with a guy and a gal would have been pretty interesting for the show, especially if they ran with this kind of friendship through the entire series. Trial by Triumphathlon and Camp TV show that there was so much potential in Jeff and Gwen being a thing, and I stand by the fact that this was a hugely missed opportunity by the show. I know Jeff and Bridget and Gwen and Trent are very popular, but Jeff and Gwen's interactions with each other just felt way more natural and comfortable, and I can't really see that any differently. Imagine the entire series of Total Drama, but with Gwen and Jeff being one of the main couples. I mean, you can't tell me that wouldn't be sick. And even if you feel like you can't, you have to admit that this would be one of the better opposites attract type of relationships among all of the ones that Total Drama have tried doing. That I feel like is inarguable. Or imagine instead of Total Drama-rama, we got a way cooler version of the show with the Total Drama characters like in high school or in college or something. We could actually see Jeff's parties and see that Gwen got invited to them and they'd be having fun. For the record, I always wanted to see something like that instead of Drama-rama, so seeing them actually hang out and seeing Gwen out of her shell partying with Jeff would be super cool to see, but I digress. So yeah, that's what I think is Total Drama's biggest missed opportunity. Just something with so much potential that had an entire episode dedicated to it, and then nothing else afterwards. Total Drama Island has a lot of this kind of inconsistent writing when you really look closely, but it's still the best season of the show. It's just this kind of stuff that was left on the table that could have been so huge that always leaves me wondering, what if? Because Gwen and Jeff together, friendship or romance, are money, I'm telling you. Let me know down below what you think the biggest missed opportunity in Total Drama is. I'm very curious about that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter just for some nonsense, you know I gotta make sure to plug that. Stay tuned for more videos on Total Drama, and as said in a previous video, maybe some other Total Drama affiliated stuff. Let me know what else you'd like to see me talk about, like the video, subscribe for more videos, and yeah, thank you for watching.